In 1955, the nation was shaken by the brutal murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till. But what most people don't know is that this tragedy didn't just ignite the civil rights movement. It also changed television forever, because Emmett Till's death and the censorship that followed pushed one writer to create one of the most iconic shows in history.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone.
Before The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling was one of the most promising young writers in live television. He believed storytelling should confront injustice head-on, and when Emmett Till was murdered, Serling felt compelled to write a drama that exposed the racism behind the crime. He titled it Noon on Doomsday, but America wasn't ready. Even before the script aired, networks and advertisers panicked. Southern stations threatened to pull their sponsorship. Executives demanded changes, then more changes, then even more. Serling later said that the script was gone over with a fine-tooth comb by 30 different people. Every reference to the South was removed. Every mention of race was erased. The story was stripped of its truth until it would no longer resemble the Emmett Till case at all. Serling was devastated. So he made a decision that would change pop culture forever. If he couldn't tell the truth directly, he would tell it indirectly. Through science fiction, through allegory, through stories that look like fantasy, but were really about us. The Emmett Till censorship didn't just frustrate Serling. It reprogrammed his storytelling DNA. It shaped the themes, the tone, and the moral urgency of The Twilight Zone. Here are the episodes most directly born from that moment. The monsters are due on Maple Street. A peaceful neighborhood collapses into violence because of suspicion and fear. No aliens needed. The humans destroy themselves. This is Serling's coded critique of lynch mobs. He couldn't show Mississippi, so he showed Maple Street. I Am the Night, Color Me Black. This is the closest Serling ever came to addressing racial violence directly. A town prepares to execute a man after a racially charged killing. The sky turns black, a metaphor for the moral darkness of hatred. This episode is the spiritual descendant of Noon on Doomsday. Eye of the Beholder. A woman is forced into surgery to make her acceptable to society. It's a story about enforced conformity, the same conformity that demanded Serling erase race from his Till script. He's Alive. A young neo-Nazi is manipulated by the ghost of Adolf Hitler. Serling wrote it because he had been told for years that racism was too controversial for television. If he couldn't talk about American racism, he'd talk about global racism, and the message would still land. The Obsolete Man. A totalitarian state declares a librarian obsolete because books and ideas are banned. This is Serling's revenge on the institutions that told him what he could and couldn't say. A Quality of Mercy. A racist American soldier is magically transformed into a Japanese soldier during World War II. Serling forces the audience to see the world through the eyes of people they fear or hate. It's the empathy he wanted to bring to Emmett Till's story, but wasn't allowed to. The shelter. A suburban neighborhood descends into violence when only one family has a fallout shelter. It's a direct echo of mob mentality Serling saw in the Till case and the mob mentality that tried to silence him afterward. Every one of these episodes is Serling's answer to the question, what do you do when you're not allowed to tell the truth? You disguise it. You encode it. You smuggle it into primetime television dressed as science fiction. The Emmett Till censorship didn't just influence the Twilight Zone. It created it. Serling built an entire universe where he could finally say what America refused to hear. Rod Serling didn't create the Twilight Zone because of Emmett Till's death alone. He created it because he wasn't allowed to tell the truth about Emmett Till. Censorship forced him to find another way, and that way became one of the most influential shows in television history. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones told in disguise, and sometimes the fight for justice takes place in the Twilight Zone. Thanks for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I truly appreciate you stopping by my channel. Be sure to tune in next week when we spotlight another incredible individual whose story deserves to be remembered. Wishing you a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.